If you are starting to notice that you cannot remember names as easily as you used to, or you walk into a room and completely forget why you went in there, I am going to let you know right now that it has absolutely nothing to do with your age. We have been conditioned to believe that losing our mental sharpness is just a normal, inevitable part of getting older, but that is a massive lie that is keeping millions of people from fixing the actual root cause of their cognitive decline. What is actually happening inside your brain is a hidden metabolic crisis that has been quietly developing for 10, 15, or even 20 years before your very first symptoms showed up. And if you do not stop it right now, you are allowing a completely preventable process to permanently alter your mind. Right now, I want you to pause and type the word memory down in the comment section below so your brain locks this commitment in. Hit that like button so this vital warning can reach more families who are struggling with this, and subscribe to the Metabolic Health Lab channel immediately, because what I'm about to show you over the next few minutes will completely change how you protect your brain and your metabolic health for the rest of your life. What most people completely miss when it comes to memory loss is that your brain cells do not just get tired and quit because you turned 50 or 60. Your brain is the most massive energy hog in your entire body, requiring a massive, non-stop supply of fuel to build memories, process information, and keep your cognitive gears turning smoothly. Specifically, there is a tiny, delicate structure deep inside your brain called the hippocampus, which is the absolute central command center for your memory and your ability to learn new things. Out of all the different areas in your brain, the hippocampus contains the highest density of mitochondria, which are the miniature energy factories inside your cells. Because it is working constantly, it demands a massive amount of cellular energy to survive, but when that energy supply gets cut off, the cells in your hippocampus begin to wither, shrink, and eventually die off entirely. This is why you start misplacing your keys, struggling to find the right words in a conversation, or feeling a heavy, persistent cloud of brain fog that leaves you feeling exhausted before your day even truly begins. But here is where things get even more serious, and it is the exact part of the equation that traditional medicine completely overlooks. Long before you ever receive a scary diagnosis, your brain goes through a multi-stage energy collapse that happens in total silence. In the very first stage, there is a sudden drop in the energy production of your brain cells, yet your memory still feels completely fine, meaning you might only notice a little bit of unexplained midday fatigue or a lack of mental stamina. Then you transition into stage 2, where a specific type of sticky protein residue begins to accumulate in the spaces between your neurons because your brain no longer has the metabolic energy required to clear out its own waste. If you have never heard about this hidden energy drain before, hit that like button right now so we can expose this truth to more people who are blindly blaming their genetics. As you move from stage 2 into stage 3, your hippocampus actively begins to shrink, and this is the precise moment where you suddenly start noticing that your ability to learn new skills has dropped, or that you are constantly blanking on the names of people you have known for years. The most terrifying part about stage 3 is that it does not wait until you are elderly. This metabolic decay is actively happening to people in their 30s and 40s right now. By the time someone reaches stage 4, the damage has advanced so much that they actually lose the cognitive ability to recognize their own decline, which is why family members usually notice the memory issues long before the individual does. If this timeline hits close to home for you or someone you love, drop a yes in the comments right now, because recognizing where you are on this spectrum is the very first step to turning things around. What happens next is the part nobody talks about, because standard medical tests are completely unequipped to catch this early enough to make a difference. When you go to a traditional doctor complaining of mild memory lapses, they run standard cognitive quizzes or basic blood work that completely misses the underlying cellular starvation. If you truly wanted to see what is happening inside the brain during these early stages, you would have to look at a specialized metabolic imaging test called a PET scan. Now, you might have heard of PET scans in relation to oncology because doctors use them to map out exactly where cancer cells are aggressively consuming massive amounts of glucose, since cancer absolutely thrives on sugar. But when you look at an imaging scan of a brain experiencing cognitive decline or early stage dementia, you see the exact opposite phenomenon. Instead of a hypermetabolism of sugar, you see a severe, dark, and hollow hypometabolism, meaning the brain cells have completely lost their ability to uptake and utilize glucose as a fuel source. This major discovery gives us the ultimate clue as to what memory loss actually is, and it is the reason why leading researchers are now officially referring to Alzheimer's and advanced dementia as type 3 diabetes. It is not an issue of getting older. It is a profound, localized insulin resistance inside the brain. When you spend years consuming a diet high in refined carbohydrates, sugars, starches, and frequent snacks, your bloodstream is flooded with a constant, unyielding spike of blood sugar. To protect your organs from the toxic effects of high glucose, your pancreas reacts by pumping out massive amounts of the hormone insulin to clear the sugar out of your blood. Over time, your cells become completely overwhelmed by this relentless hormonal bombardment, and to protect themselves, they downregulate their receptors and stop responding. They build a wall against the hormone, which is the definition of insulin resistance. The tragedy of insulin resistance in the brain is that while your body might be floating in a sea of excess glucose, your actual brain cells are completely locked out from using it. The transport doors that allow sugar to enter your neurons shut down, leaving your brain cells in a state of absolute starvation. It is exactly like a fish tank where the water has become completely polluted and toxic. You could feed the fish the highest quality food in the world and treat every single individual symptom. But if the underlying water remains toxic, the fish will inevitably get sick and die. Your brain is the fish, and your metabolic environment is the water. If you want to stop guessing and start fixing this internal environment today, subscribe to Metabolic Health Lab right now so you never miss these simple, life-saving metabolic blueprints. To help you identify if you are currently trapped in this silent, brain-starving cycle, I want you to ask yourself 3 simple diagnostic questions about your daily energy patterns. First, do you absolutely need to eat every 2 or 3 hours just to avoid getting irritable, shaky, or completely overwhelmed by a wave of heavy brain fog? If you answered yes, that is a direct, undeniable indicator that your brain is suffering from a blood sugar roller coaster, even if your standard fasting glucose test at the clinic still comes back completely normal. Second, do you regularly wake up between 2 and 3 o'clock in the middle of the night for absolutely no clear reason, finding it incredibly difficult to quiet your mind and fall back asleep? Most people assume this nighttime waking is purely a stress or a cortisol issue, but in reality, it is a major blood sugar crash occurring while you sleep, forcing your liver to spike adrenaline just to keep your brain alive. Third, after you eat a meal that is high in carbohydrates such as pasta, bread, rice, or a sweet dessert, do you immediately feel mentally sluggish, exhausted, or desperate for a nap? If you experience any of these 3 warning signs, your brain is actively screaming at you that its primary energy system is broken, and you are likely moving through the early stages of metabolic cognitive decline right now. But the damage does not stop at insulin resistance, and this brings us to the ultimate hidden trigger that connects high blood sugar directly to physical brain shrinkage. When your body is forced to process an excessive load of carbohydrates and chronic insulin spikes, it causes a catastrophic, massive depletion of a single crucial micronutrient known as vitamin B1 or thiamine. In fact, clinical data shows that when your blood sugar is chronically elevated, your kidneys accelerate the clearance of thiamine, causing a staggering 16 to 24 times loss of vitamin B1 through your urine. The more carbohydrates, starches, and processed sugars you put into your body, the more you aggressively drain your internal reserves of this exact vitamin, leaving your nervous system completely high and dry. To understand why a loss of vitamin B1 is the absolute death sentence for your memory, you have to look at how your cellular engine actually generates power. When your brain cells are healthy, they take fuel and process it completely through the mitochondria to generate a massive, efficient yield of cellular energy. However, if the main entry door to that mitochondrial factory is damaged or locked, the cell is forced to rely on a primitive, highly inefficient backup survival process called glycolysis, which only yields a tiny fraction of the energy your brain requires to function. In conditions like diabetes, cancer, and memory loss, the mitochondria themselves are not necessarily broken beyond repair. Rather, the biological door that allows fuel to enter the factory has been severely compromised. Vitamin B1 is the literal indispensable key that repairs and opens that door, allowing fuel to safely enter the cellular engine. Think of your brain cells like a combustion engine where you have the perfect mix of fuel and oxygen ready to go. But if you do not have a functional spark plug to ignite the mixture, the entire engine stays completely dead. Vitamin B1 is the spark plug of your brain's metabolism. When you live with a profound deficiency in vitamin B1 due to a high carbohydrate lifestyle, the door to your energy factory slams shut, and your brain cells begin to ferment fuel via that backup pathway, which generates a massive toxic accumulation of lactic acid deep within your neurological tissues. Researchers looking at the brains of individuals with advanced cognitive decline consistently find heavy, abnormal concentrations of lactic acid, which suffocates the surrounding brain cells, severely decreases localized oxygen delivery, and accelerates the rapid destruction of your vital neural pathways. Furthermore, when you consume highly refined grains, such as white flour, cereals, and white rice, over 85% of the natural vitamin B1 has been completely stripped away during manufacturing, meaning you are consuming a dead food that actively robs your body of the remaining nutrients it needs to survive. Thankfully, leading scientific researchers are finally beginning to catch up to this reality, and right now, the National Institute on Aging is conducting a massive, multi-site phase 2 clinical trial testing a highly specialized, fat-soluble form of vitamin B1 called benfotiamine, specifically for halting and reversing the progression of early-stage memory loss. I have been educating people on the profound power of benfotiamine for many, many years, because unlike standard water-soluble vitamin B1, which struggles to penetrate the tightly controlled blood-brain barrier, benfotiamine is lipid-soluble. This unique structure allows it to easily pass directly through the fatty membranes of your brain cells, delivering vital therapeutic support straight to your starving neurons. If you want more simple, cutting-edge metabolic fixes like this to protect your health as you age, drop a comment saying "fix" below and subscribe to the channel immediately. In clinical practice, benfotiamine is a legendary tool because it works aggressively to neutralize the cellular toxicity and biochemical byproducts caused by chronic high blood sugar. It provides the exact raw materials required to regenerate the myelin sheath, which is the protective, insulating coating wrapped around all your nerves that allows electrical signals to travel instantaneously throughout your body. When your myelin sheath degrades due to sugar toxicity and nutrient deficiencies, your nervous system experiences severe tension, chronic anxiety, internal restlessness, and a profound breakdown in communication, which manifests directly as memory lapses and cognitive slowdowns. But here is the critical catch that most people completely miss when they rush out to buy supplements. You can take all the benfotiamine and high-quality vitamin B1 capsules in the entire world, but if you do not fundamentally alter the underlying diet that is draining your reserves, the supplements will never work. The moment you reintroduce refined carbohydrates and sugars into your system, they will immediately act like a biological sponge, sucking out the newly introduced vitamin B1 and leaving your brain cells right back in a state of starvation. Therefore, regardless of where you currently find yourself on your health journey, the absolute most important non-negotiable action you must take starting today is to combine a strictly low-carbohydrate, healthy ketogenic lifestyle with targeted benfotiamine supplementation. When you eliminate the foods that spark chronic insulin resistance, you stop the continuous drain on your nutrient reserves, allowing the benfotiamine to finally step in and perform its deep cellular magic on your nervous system. If you are wondering about the exact dosage to use, look at the directions on the back of a high-quality benfotiamine supplement label, and under the supervision of your healthcare provider, consider increasing that standard dose by up to 4 times, spreading the intake out evenly throughout your day. By taking it 4 separate times daily, you thoroughly saturate your neurological tissues, ensuring a steady, constant supply of the vital spark plug your mitochondria desperately need to rebuild their damaged entry doors. If you truly want to take your cognitive health to the absolute next level and dramatically accelerate the repair of your memory centers, you must also introduce the powerful habit of intermittent fasting into your daily routine. Fasting is the ultimate metabolic tool because it forces your liver to deplete its stored sugar reserves and transition into burning body fat for fuel, which produces a highly efficient, alternative clean energy source known as ketones. Ketones are the absolute preferred fuel source for a damaged insulin-resistant brain because they do not require the damaged insulin transport doors to enter your neurons. They bypass the metabolic blockade entirely, delivering a massive, immediate surge of clean energy straight to your starving hippocampus, while simultaneously triggering the release of brain-derived neurotrophic factor, a specialized protein that stimulates the growth of brand new brain cells and neural connections. Fixing your memory, eliminating brain fog, and protecting your mind as you age requires you to stop treating symptoms and start fixing your primary metabolic engine. Right now, take a second to type metabolic health in the comments below to cement this new strategy into your daily routine. Hit that like button to support our mission of spreading true wellness, and subscribe to Metabolic Health Lab right now to join thousands of others who are actively taking control of their bodies and minds. If you are ready to get the exact step-by-step master plan and the precise details on how to implement this perfect low-carb intermittent fasting routine seamlessly into your life, you need to click on and watch this next video right here. Check it out, and I will see you over there.